welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Diamond Alexis. If you are returning, thank you so much for returning. On this channel we do nursing content, beauty content, lifestyle, vlogs, chit chat, get ready with me, all of that. If you like that, subscribe and like. Let's get into the video. So the other day, which is probably like 1 to 2 weeks ago, I linked my jot form. If you want to see what that is, go to the description box. You will see jot form in the link. Click it and fill it out. So on the jot form, someone filled it out. I want to say thank you so much for filling out that jot form. It actually goes in line to something that I want to bring to my channel. So I really appreciate you for filling it out and taking the time to send me a content idea. Let's go to it. I don't know if the supporter wants their name placed in the video, but I will talk about what was asked. The supporter asked 3 questions. So the first question is the honest review of being an L&D nurse. My honest review of being an L&D nurse is that it's very rewarding. Sometimes I have my days where it can kind of be too much. It can be a little bit challenging. It can be a little bit demanding, especially like physically demanding, because you know, when they get those epidurals, like anesthesia, they get epidurals. It can be challenging physically challenging trying to move the patient. It can be physically challenging trying to do a lot of position changes that benefit the mom, as far as like trying to help them, you know, relax, dilate, things like that. So it's demanding in a lot of ways, I think, emotionally, mentally, and physically. What I mean by emotionally demanding is sometimes tears are shed. Sometimes moms are sad, you know, IUFDs, maybe they're not progressing like they want to. Maybe they had super high expectations for their body that they're not meeting in that moment. Maybe they just need a little bit of motivation, things like that. So there is a lot that goes into being a nurse in general. I'm not even gonna discredit any nurses, but like a nurse in general. And then there's a lot that goes into being an actual labor and delivery nurse. But luckily the reward with labor and delivery is that you get to help the mom bring in life, bring in another child, twins, babies, anything, bring in life. So that's one of the things that, although it comes with that, it does have its, you know, with anything, it has its good and bads. But I think, like, my honest review of being a labor and delivery nurse, I wouldn't change it for anything. I would just say you definitely have to have a heart for this, and on top of that, patience, because if you don't have the patience, you will not make it, or it will show and your patients will complain. With labor and delivery, I'm not gonna say patients are necessarily needy, but they need things. They need someone to be there for them. They need to have, you know, somebody that can support them and basically be active in their plan of care. They need a lot, you know. They're already in a lot of pain and trying to deliver a baby. But when you add in things like, oh, maybe they are starting out vaginally and then they're going into a C-section, what if they did not want to have a C-section at all? Like, they need a lot of things, right? And they're not able to eat. They are only on like liquids. I don't know, maybe the doctor prescribed NPO, or maybe it's just clear, like a clear diet, things like that. So you just have to be there in all aspects, right? Another honest review would be, maybe if I had to, not if I had to choose, because I did make a choice, but if I had to do it all over again, I would definitely start off with something a little bit more fast paced, like maybe like ER, and then eventually get to L&D. The reason why I say that is because I can see how somebody can get comfortable and maybe retire as a labor and delivery nurse, and that's a good thing. When I say what I just said, that's a good thing, because I feel like with labor and delivery you can get really comfortable. You can get so used to catering to these moms. You can get so used to the things that you have to do, what's required of you in the job, that you will stay. Like, and that's like I said, that's a positive thing. You'll stay. Like, it's something that I feel like because I know I want to do more in the world of nursing, and I say all that to say that when I eventually transition, I know it's going to be very bittersweet for me, because like I said, if I had to do it all over again, I would have done something else and then came to labor and delivery, because it's something where you'll learn. You got to get over that like learning stage, you know, that little learning curve, and then once you get it, you get it. Like, yes, it presents different things because every case is unique, but like I said, the ending is seeing a baby born, or like seeing families bond, like all of that. I definitely can see how somebody would stay in labor and delivery for years upon years upon years. So, and none of that, like I said, is negative. But if I had to do it all over again, I definitely would have started somewhere else and came into labor and delivery. But now that I'm already in labor and delivery, I'm like, I would go back. If I was to leave and try something else just to get the experience out the way, just to like see more and do more, I would definitely go back to labor and delivery. So I'm glad I have that experience. Next question. What's the most challenging about labor and delivery? So the most challenging thing about labor and delivery by far, which is the reason why I did a little like cough, because for the past 2 weeks, not this week, the past 2 weeks before, so maybe the past 3 weeks, we have literally had IUFDs, which are intrauterine fetal demise. We have had those for literally back to back for my shifts. And the way that we have learned, like the culture of the unit is like they come in threes. So you're not gonna ever quote unquote get one fetal demise. There always going to be two. There's always going to be a follow-up. But imagine you getting the first one, and then the next shift the first one, and then they just keep coming. So that's kind of how it feels. So I say the most challenging for me is that, like, number one, a fetal demise in general. Nobody wants to have, you know, be pregnant and then they find out that their baby is not surviving, or nobody wants to be on their fourth or fifth one. And that has happened to me. I've seen a patient have a gestation of 8 and they only have 2 living babies, or 3 living babies, or even 4 living babies, and they're on like their third or fourth, and what's third or fourth IUFD. And what's more hurtful to me is looking on the chart and seeing things like no, it's not HIPAA. So seeing that, oh, they were at the same hospital around the same time, it's like I can only imagine. So I'm really more tender towards them when I see that. Sometimes if I have an IUFD, I won't look in their chart that deep. Even though I am their nurse, I can, but I won't, because I don't want to I want to be there for them, like very strong. Like I don't want to be looking through and like, okay, putting myself in it or empathize, sympathize, or whatever with them, and then I can't be the strong person out of the two, you know. So but like I said, like going through it and seeing that, okay, dang, they were here 2 years ago around the same time, or oh, this is the second year, the third year, and it's like, oh my gosh, I feel for you. Like I literally feel for you. And that's the hardest part about labor and delivery. Another thing that's hard, and it could probably be a reach, is seeing when a mom has no support system, or no one is there with her, and it's apparent, like it shows on her face, or she's asking questions, or she's wanting you to be there, she's wanting you to stay in the room, things like that. So that's another hard part too, because of course I want to be there. I'm going to be there as much as I can, but I also have another patient that I have to, you know, take care of. And it's kind of hard being a person that is empathetic, like you're an empath. You feel what they're feeling, right? So you really, and I used to hear this all the time in nursing school, and it wasn't until I actually became a nurse where I understood where the professor was coming from. You really have to assess your feelings. You really have to be careful. You have to make sure that you got to check yourself at the door, literally. Like you need to make sure you are a clean slate, because if you're not a clean slate and you're going in there and a patient is very emotional, or they have 1,000 questions, and you're coming off of someone who is not mentally there, or you're coming off of someone who's going through something at home and bringing it to work, you're not going to give them your best. And that's just me being honest. Like I'm sorry, like you're not going to give them your best. And mind you, anything can change in a split second, especially when you're dealing with something with nursing. It's already a fearful, like, you see it all over TikTok. You see it everywhere. You see it with even pets. When you go into a doctor or to a hospital, it's scary. Like it's very scary. You never know what's gonna happen. So imagine you coming in there. You have all your things that you, and like I said, this is not to discredit or make anyone feel bad about how they feel, or like push down how your feelings or how you feel. But you just have to put them to the side at least for 12 hours, okay? Because a patient could be, they don't have any family with them, they want to make a decision, they want to figure out XYZ, or say the provider gave them ultimatums, or these are your options, right? And they don't know what to do. Who are they going to go to? You are literally the face of whether you like it or not, you are literally the face of the hospital or the care that they're getting, because you're in there so often. So even if you're not the one who's making the decision, they see you, so they're thinking that you're the one that's making the decision, right? So if they're asking you, hey, what do you think I should do? Like, I had a patient who asked me about donating cord blood, and this is something that a hospital does. They have a program where they donate cord blood and it helps save lives. And so she was asking me, should I donate cord blood? And I had to literally check myself at the door. Like, honestly, me, now that I know more about cord blood and the benefits, I would. But before I even knew what it was, I was kind of like, I don't know about that. Like, I was kind of skeptical, and I could only imagine the advice I could give to a patient if I kept those negative feelings. So what I did, I stayed on the neutral. I told her, hey, there's this that could happen, and there's this that could happen. The same thing that I almost said the name. The same thing that the provider comes in and educates them on, I say the same thing. I don't tell them I wouldn't or I would. I say, hey, this is your first baby, or this is your XYZ baby, and these are the outcomes. This is the thing that could happen, and this is that. I can't tell you what to do. I can't give you like a personal answer, but I can say that this is this and this is that, and this is what I would do. I would say, if you are on your first baby, maybe if you don't want to make a split decision right now, do research, so then the next time you get pregnant, if you want to revisit, or if somebody comes and they says, hey, do you want to donate cord blood, you have a little bit more knowledge, you know, because they obviously don't have any knowledge if they're asking you as a nurse. So I would just say the best answer is to say, what do you want to do? Or, okay, if you feel like you don't have enough information, do some research. You know, you have a little time. If you don't want to do it on the first baby, you have a uterus, you can have another one, you can try on the next try. Like, just don't just straight up tell them exactly what you would do, because you never know what could happen if you are so closed-minded on what you would do or your decision, instead of just letting the patient have autonomy to make a decision on their own. Okay, yeah, those are the most challenging parts of labor and delivery to me, is checking yourself at the door, IUFDs, and being a support system for people who may not have any family with them. But like I said, it's still very rewarding. I'm still very grateful for my job. I would not change it for anything, but if I had to be honest, that's what I would say. How has your life changed since becoming a nurse? Then the next comment says, many nurses say they're still living check to check, which I don't believe, for real, LOL. I would say my life has changed tremendously since becoming a nurse. I have definitely gained a lot of responsibility. It has matured me as a person, because a lot of things that I used to worry about when I was a nursing student, I don't worry about anymore. We go through so much, and when you're at work and you see all the things that happen, it's so much bigger than you. Like, and that's just being so real. It's so many things bigger than you. People are having bigger problems. The minor stuff, worried about who likes you, who doesn't, what I didn't like that you said, what you didn't like that I said, it just doesn't matter. Oh, we haven't talked to each other in a while, I'm finna be mad and have an attitude. No, like, that stuff does not matter anymore. You literally have a thin line of patience. After extending your patience for so long, for 12 hours, when it comes to friends and family, you just want to genuinely be at peace. Like, literally, you want to be at peace, you want to be happy. If we talking, we talking. If we not, we not. It's no hard feelings. But once you really get a reality check, like you check yourself at the door and you walk into that hospital and you get a reality check and see that people are going through real things. Some of the things that you're going through, so emotional or so mentally, like you're fighting yourself, or you're tricking yourself and you're talking yourself into it, or even the devil, I don't know, it does not matter. Like, it literally matures you from the floor up. Like, you will not care. So I will say that it changed my life and matured me. I will also say financially it has helped me in so many ways. Like, I talked about this on my Facebook. If you haven't added me on Facebook, go ahead and do that. I like to, you know, make posts. I like to see people communicate back and forth. But if you don't, just read it, like it, keep pushing. But yeah, this is I'll link it actually in the description box, my Facebook. And yeah, go ahead and add me. the things that I used to have to wait to afford as a student or as somebody that was working in like the customer service industry, things like that, like I would have to wait check after check after check just to get something. When I, like, as a nurse now, you can get whatever you want as long as it's within like your paycheck in one check or in two checks or in 2 or 3 shifts in one shift, like things like that. Like, you don't have to necessarily wait. You have the luxury of making the decision whether you want to get it or not. And that's going to lead to your next comment. The next comment said many nurses say they're still living check to check. You don't believe it. Believe it. Believe them. Like I just said, you have the option to choose whether you want to pay for something now or later. And what are these nurses doing? They're paying for it now. They're blowing their money. Like, when I became a nurse, God convicted my heart on how I was spending money, and that's what made me want to read more about finances, crack down on my finances, do a lot. But imagine somebody who either doesn't have God in their life, or who is not convicted, or who does not care about spending money. They have that mentality of that is pushed through society to spend a check and get it right back, right? So imagine that type of person. They're gonna be living check to check. And like I said, I personally feel like, and I'm saying this as a new grad, I'm hearing people who have been nurses for a while saying they're getting paid way more than I am. If I'm saying that this is pretty good money, imagine how it is when I get more experience. I'm only reaching my first year, right? So imagine that. If I'm saying it's good already, it only gets better, right? So and going back to the person who has a spin a check and get a right back mentality, yes, many nurses are living check to check, either because they want to, or they have been living above their means, or maybe they have had children. It really just depends on the type of lifestyle that the person have. Of course, somebody who's single, not married, no kids, no real, big responsibilities, they're able to spend how they want to, or they budget their money well, or they're educating themselves, they're reading books, they have probably like a financial advisor, or they're like putting money to the side as they go. They're able to keep it and spend it. So I can personally say, within my 8 to 9 months of being a nurse, that I have literally been on both sides of the fence. I have been the person who blew their money. Like I said, I was convicted, but I was still actively spending the money. I've been the person who has been spending their money, blowing it, being I got a check, I'm gonna get it right back, things like that. I have been that person. I have also more recently, for the past 3 to 4 months, putting the money to the side, saving my money, actually having money, actually having a overflow for the next check. Like actually seeing how it feels to be financially responsible, and then be like, okay, this is a lot of money, this is enough, and it's only gonna get better on top of other things that I do on the side. So it just depends on the nurse's responsibilities, how they're spending it, what their mindset is like, who are they around. Are they around friends who constantly blow money? Are they around friends who want to elevate them? It's just so many things that can sway whether people are living in check to check, or whether it's enough money as a nurse. But what I will say is that if you pretty much control yourself, like as far as spending, or you have like a set plan on what you save, you can definitely not live check to check, for sure. Even if you were to get a $2,000 what is it called, high rise, a $2,000 high rise, you, off of new grad money, you can still live comfortably and not live check to check, even with a car note. I'm trying to tell you, you literally can. The only reason why I say maybe people are saying they're living check to check is solely due to irresponsibility or responsibility. Irresponsibility would mean they're blowing it out of control, and responsibility mean they had kids, they already are pretty set, they have their cars, their houses, they have real responsibility. So yeah, that's just like my final line. It's between irresponsibility and responsibility. It's very scenario based. So yeah, believe it. You say you don't believe it, please believe it. Please do. I'm educating myself, and I'm doing a lot better, and I believe any nurse can. So it's not to say that the money is just so low. I'm not gonna lie to you, I do feel like we are underpaid and overworked, for sure. But if you had to be like, I got to do what I got to do with what I have, you can definitely make it. You definitely can. And then another thing, I do have a benefit because I work night shift and I do get over a couple hundred more. Plus if I'm working on weekends, it's a lot more than that. So I do have a kind of plus, which is another reason why I chose night shift as well. The culture of the unit, the pace of the unit, and the extra pay. Plus I'm able to give time to things like this, my things that I like to do for myself, like my hobbies. I get to do them without having to have like kind of like a curfew. I don't know, but yeah, it's a lot of benefits. I'll talk about that in another video, so if you would like to see that, go ahead and comment down below or fill out the job form if you want me to talk about the benefits of working night shift as a new grad nurse. But yeah, the last question is, what was the most challenging subject in nursing school? Baby, please don't traumatize me. you you getting down to the nitty-gritty. Please don't traumatize me. So the most challenging subject in nursing school is the reason why it took me so long to become a nurse anyway, is med-surg, medical surgical. Med-surg 1 and med-surg 2. Actually, no, med-surg 2. Med-surg 1, I should have known by my path during med-surg 1 how med-surg 2 would be for me. I literally made it out of med-surg with a 75 flat. Med-surg 1 flat. 70, well, maybe like 70, a little bit over 75, but like literally just a 75, a little over 75. That's how I knew maybe I wouldn't be the best person for med-surg 2. So I should have known that. But yeah, so med-surg 1 wasn't that bad. It was what it is, but I made a 75. So then when I went to med-surg 2 and I tried to pair it with mental health, that was my downfall. You already know you are a C average in med-surg. Why would you try to add that on top of another type of subject or specialty of nursing that's just as challenging, if not more? So that was the most challenging subject of nursing school, was med-surg. I feel like everything else, health assessment, community, peds, maternal, I feel like those are pretty much, it's because they have a lane of their own. When you get to like med-surg, it's a world. It's not a lane, it's a world. It's so many things that could fall under med-surg. I feel like that is the end all be all of nursing. You will see any and everything. I feel like med-surg and ER are neck and neck. ER is trauma based, you'll see a lot of that, but whoever comes out of the ER, they will literally go to med-surg. Like, they're literally like sisters in my eyes. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but after floating, being a nurse tech, being in nursing school, listening to all these stories, that is my conclusion that I have came to. Like, they are literally neck and neck. So yeah, and if you're a nursing student and you're currently going through challenging classes, put the ones that you think are the most challenging. If you're a nurse watching this video, what was your most challenging subject in nursing school? Med-surg had me beat. I knew that I wasn't going to be a med-surg nurse when I struggled all that time through that subject. But also floating as a nurse tech, I got to see so many med-surg units, and the culture of the unit was not the best for me. I just knew it wasn't right for me. I didn't like the miserableness, the complaining, and honestly, it's not them. I know it's the job, and I know it's like the need, or like how demanding the job was, but I just knew that wasn't the best for me. I like to smile a lot, I like to laugh a lot, I'm very goofy. Sometimes I can be serious, sometimes I can't, and I felt like in the world of med-surg, I just would not fit. Like, I just knew that in some aspects I could probably be a light, but I felt like to the units that I seen, or to the culture that I seen, that would be intimidating to people, because they are already pretty much set in their ways of like they don't like it, they want to get out, but they, you know, I don't know, they were already pretty conflicted within themselves. So me coming in there and being happy, being a light, despite all the things that happened, that I just knew I wouldn't fit. And everybody is different, you know. Some people may love med-surg, some people may flourish and do great, but I just knew as a nurse tech and constantly being floated to med-surg that personally was not for me. I was an outstanding nurse tech, and that's not being biased. I received so many compliments. I also received recognition from my organization, like from nurses, they would send like these e-gift cards and e-recognitions, awards and things like that to me. So even if I wasn't saying like, hey, I didn't like it, I'm not being biased when I say I was good. I know that if I was to be a med-surg nurse, I would be amazing, but I just feel like my patience and how I felt, it just was not gonna work. It wasn't gonna work. I would have still done a good job, but it just wasn't gonna work. That's gonna be all for this jot form. Thank you so much for filling it out. Thank you so much for tuning into my 6 months as a nurse update. If you wanted to be more labor and delivery centered, I can do another 6 month update video. But for the most part, I feel like I answered the questions. I like it. I like being a nurse. I love it. I feel like it's rewarding. It is challenging sometimes. I feel like the person who filled out this form, they asked the right questions that pretty much sum up a 6 month update as a nurse. Thank you so much again for filling it out, and thank you so much for tuning into this video. I hope to see you again, and I hope you watch another video. I have a couple of playlists that I want you to check out. You can check out my nursing student journey playlist, and you can also check out my new grad nurse residency program playlist that I am still currently making. I'm not done being a nurse, and I'm not finished with the nurse residency, but we are quickly approaching that. So if you want to tune in and catch some live uploads, go ahead and tune into that playlist. If you are into beauty, self-care, shower routines, beauty routines, things like that, I have a playlist of shower routines that I will link as well. But yeah, I pretty much have a lot of options for you to look at, and I would enjoy it and appreciate it if you do tune in. And thank you again for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Bye.